The worst form of failure is you, a man producing confections. Seeing that is embarrassing. Your brother is a candidate for an executive position at our organization. Take a look at him. At the packaging firm my parents owned, I was being compared to my brother once more. My brother was the outstanding older son, and I was the inferior younger son from birth. That was our family's indisputable hierarchy. He was the target of all of my parents' expectations from an early age, and I served just as a standard by which to measure myself. My brother overshadowed everything I did, including college and my work. Nevertheless, I made every effort. This company no longer needs you. You are dismissed as of right now. Everything I had worked so hard to achieve fell apart in that instant. All of my hard-won accomplishments, the confidence I had gained, and my aspirations and hopes vanished like sand through my fingers. Then it took place. Would you like to work for us? I turned, startled by the voice, to discover Anna standing there, the daughter of a large confectionery company with which we had done business. I'll give you 5 times what you make now. I can't let you waste your talent. She had a determined look in her eyes. This was the pivotal moment in my life, but I was unaware of it at the time. Ian is my name. I recently turned 25. I'm looking through an old picture album right now while seated at my family's dinner table. A long breath slips from my mouth. There are numerous pictures of my brother Luke holding championship trophies throughout the album. Top spot on practice tests. Winner of the National Math Contest. The English Speech Competition's best speaker. The commencement ceremony at Tokyo University followed. Luke is truly exceptional, isn't he? Yes, he's the pride of our family. My parents' voices drift in from the kitchen. Even on a weekend morning, my father is reviewing work documents while my mother pours him a cup of coffee. His voice is always tinged with pride when he speaks about Luke. I silently turn the pages of the album. Then I come across a photo from my high school graduation. Luke is on stage as the valedictorian while I'm clapping from below. I can't believe he's from the same family as Luke. Compared to him, he's just a failure, my mother says. Her words make me close my eyes. It's true, I was never good at academics. My test scores were always near the bottom. My college entrance exams were a disaster. I failed Tokyo University twice, despite my parents' insistence. After the second failure, they finally gave up and told me, at least graduate from some university, even a private one in the countryside. That's how I managed to get into one. But I do have something I'm good at. I made macarons. I was good at making sweets. In university, I started a confectionery club, running booths at school festivals and local events, and even hosting baking classes at nursing homes. At the university festival, my chiffon cakes were especially popular and sold out every time. Soft, fluffy texture with a gentle sweetness. I wanted to make sweets that brought smiles to people's faces, so I kept experimenting tirelessly. One festival day, when I was almost sold out, a woman stopped by my booth. "This is the last one," I said, handing her the chiffon cake. When she took a bite, her eyes widened. "It's so delicious." I was surprised to see her eyes glistening with tears. "Where is this from?" "No, I made it myself." "You're kidding. Homemade with a taste like this? I thought it was from a professional bakery." "Not yet. I'm still a student." "I see. Well, if you ever open a shop, make sure to let me know. Promise me that." The person left without giving their name, but those words became a small seed of hope within me. One day, I'll definitely make someone happy with my sweets. That moment made me believe it was possible. Whenever I ran a booth at the university festival or a local event, my sweets always sold out. Even at the baking classes I held at the local nursing home, everyone smiled and enjoyed themselves. Through those experiences, I developed a firm belief. Making sweets is an irreplaceable job. A job that can bring smiles to people's faces. Sweets made with care always reach someone's heart. That's why, after graduation, I wanted to become a patissier. But again, I've had enough of this. Listen, starting tomorrow, you'll work as an employee at our company. I don't believe you can handle a real job, but at least try not to embarrass us." My father's cold voice echoed. He didn't even glance at the box of macarons I had made. My parents' company, Carter Packaging, is a mid-sized business with a 50-year history. They specialize in manufacturing packaging materials and decorative boxes for confectionery companies. With annual sales of $8 million and about 300 employees, it had grown from a modest workshop into a stable company with a wide range of clients, from large candy manufacturers to fancy chocolate shops. Starting tomorrow, I was set to join the company. But everyone said these were delicious. I even came up with the recipe myself. "That's enough." My father's angry voice made my hands tremble. The box of macarons shook slightly. "Someone like you is the worst kind of failure. A man making sweets? It's embarrassing to even look at. Be more like Luke. He's a rising star at the company." I knew my older brother had become a key figure in the company. He had joined, worked hard, and was promoted to manager in just 5 years. His reputation was stellar, and he was expected to climb the ranks and eventually take over as CEO from my father. "I'm home," a voice called. Just then, my brother walked in. My mother stood up happily. "Oh, Luke, working late again?" "Yeah, the meeting for a new project ran long," he replied with a smile. "As expected, the future of this company depends on you. Even the other executives have high praise for your skills." My father proudly patted him on the shoulder, my parents orbiting around my brother like planets around the sun, pouring all their admiration into him. I quietly watched the scene from the corner of the table. Silently, I gathered my macarons and returned to my room. The setting sun outside the window felt strangely melancholic. Starting tomorrow, I would be working at my parents' company, but I couldn't let go of my passion for making sweets. Somehow, I wanted to hold on to this dream and find my own path. I gazed out the window, lost in thought. The twilight sky seemed to waver slightly, reflecting the uncertainty I felt about tomorrow. 6 months had passed since I was assigned to the sales department. "Hey, Ian, is that quote for Mason Confectioner's new product ready yet?" "Yes, I'll finish it right away." At the sound of Timothy, the manager's voice, I hurriedly resumed my work. As I worked, I couldn't help but sigh. Working at a company that designs packaging for renowned confectionery makers, I was constantly exposed to meetings and presentations showcasing new cakes and chocolates. Just looking at those product proposals made me want to try creating something myself. But my days were filled with endless cycles of estimates and deadlines. Price negotiations were tough, and the tight schedules weighed heavily on me. That evening, exhausted from work, I found myself standing in the kitchen. I had refrained from baking for months, thinking it would be a distraction from my job, but I had reached my limit. I started measuring ingredients, kneading dough, and placing it in the oven. As I immersed myself in the process, all my worries seemed to fade away. By the time I realized it, I had made a mountain of scones. "I can't possibly eat all these." In the empty living room, freshly baked scones were neatly lined up. They didn't look bad at all, but I knew I couldn't eat them all by myself, and throwing them away felt wasteful. This always happened. I loved making sweets, but there was no way I could finish them alone. Wait a second. An idea struck me, and the next morning, I decided to bring the scones to work. If anyone would like, I hesitantly offered them to my colleagues. "Wow." With smiles on their faces, senior staff members gathered around. Everyone started taking scones, and before I knew it, the large batch had completely disappeared. "Ian, could you bring more next time? Eating your sweets really boosts our morale." With such enthusiastic requests, I couldn't say no. From that day on, I occasionally made sweets to share with my department. Slowly, my sweets gained a reputation around the office. The tired accountant working late perked up after tasting my chocolate cake. A junior designer, disheartened by a failed project, regained their energy while munching on my cookies. Even Timothy, who constantly piled work on me, had a softer expression whenever he ate my treats. "Ian, I always look forward to your sweets. What have you made for us today?" I could share the joy of baking with everyone here. That thought alone made work suddenly feel a lot more enjoyable. However, the news eventually reached my father. One day, I was summoned to the CEO's office. My mother and brother were there as well. "Man, I hear you've been handing out homemade sweets at the office." My father's furious voice filled the room. "Yes." "Disgraceful. You're in the sales department. Your job is to sell packaging, not to create the contents. Know your place. A man making sweets? What an embarrassment." "But everyone enjoyed them." "Silence. Stop this immediately. You're a shame to this family." My father's hands slammed against the desk. My mother, standing beside him, wore a stern expression. "Honestly, you're such a troublesome son. You should learn from Luke. He's never done anything unnecessary like this." My brother stood silently, saying nothing. From that day on, I was no longer allowed to bring sweets to the office. The colleagues who had learned of the situation looked disappointed but said nothing, knowing it was an order from Mr. Carter, the CEO. The notes I often found on my desk: "That was delicious," or "Your treats gave me energy." "Thank you," all disappeared. What remained were rows of numbers and estimates for candy boxes. Is this really the path I'm meant to follow? As I stared at the catalogs of new confectionery products piled on my desk, my chest tightened. Then, one day, I visited a major client. Negotiations with Mason Confectionery were, as usual, proving difficult. Mason Confectionery, a long-established sweets manufacturer with over 100 years of history, is renowned for its premium chocolates and cakes. Their products are a staple in fancy department store confectionery sections, making them a top-tier brand with annual sales exceeding $1 billion. They were one of our company's most important clients. The annual contract for their packaging alone was worth several $1,000,000. My father took pride in the fact that our advanced techniques were entrusted with producing their decorative boxes. The current struggle was over the packaging for their new chocolate cake. They were unwilling to accept our proposed estimate. "We cannot agree to this pricing, Anna," the representative I was negotiating with said as she looked up from the estimate. Anna, the daughter of Mason Confectionery's CEO, had an elegant appearance and a sharp, commanding presence. Recognized for her skill, she was entrusted as the lead for their new product development. "We greatly value your company's advanced printing techniques. The precision of the gold leaf work and the custom inserts are remarkable. However, competing for a variety. I even make chocolate cakes. I often struggle with temperature control and ingredient ratios." "Oh, wait a moment." I quickly stepped away and pulled a box of malines from my bag. Last night, overwhelmed by work stress, I had baked a large batch. I brought them to work, planning to share them discreetly without my father finding out. "These are something I made last night. Please have one if you'd like." I placed the box in front of Anna. She looked surprised but picked one up and took a bite. She brought it to her lips, and in that moment her eyes widened in astonishment. "Did you really make this?" "Yes, just as a hobby." "I'm impressed. The moist texture and the hint of lemon are just perfect." I really like this," she said, her expression softening. As I found myself captivated by her gentle demeanor, I realized she was now looking directly at me. Flustered, I straightened my posture. "I can see that you've considered every detail, even the contents of the package, Ian. I'll take your sincerity into account and reevaluate the estimate when I return to the office." "Really? Thank you so much. I look forward to your decision." I stood up reflexively and bowed deeply. "And by the way," she continued, "would it be all right if I took the rest of these malines with me? I think sharing them with my colleagues might help them understand your dedication." "Of course. If it's not enough, I'll bring more." Anna chuckled softly. "In that case, next time, I'd love to try a different cake." I nodded eagerly, almost too many times. From that day forward, negotiations with Mason Confectionery progressed rapidly. With each meeting, I found ways to make better proposals by combining perspectives on both the cakes and the packaging. As a result, we secured the contract for the new product's decorative box under exceptionally favorable terms. "Well done, Ian." Timothy called me into his office, wearing a rare smile. "To be honest, I didn't think you could handle the Mason confectionery negotiations. So what made it go so well? Well, actually, I brought some pastries I'd made and... Ah, I see. Your pastries were delicious after all. Makes sense. Timothy crossed his arms thoughtfully. Then he turned back to me. Why don't you take your pastries to other clients as well? Don't worry, I'll secure formal approval from the company. His suggestion made me look up in surprise. But my father... Don't worry about that. I'll frame it as part of our sales strategy and handle it from then on. My pastries became our sales department's secret weapon. When price negotiations hit a deadlock, during introductions with new clients, or even while addressing complaints, my handmade sweets always serve as a perfect conversation starter. In any situation, I always look forward to your sweets, Ian. With such a refined palate, I trust you'll understand our needs as well. I started hearing such comments more often, and my relationships with clients grew deeper and stronger. A genuine sense of trust began to form, something that couldn't be achieved through numbers and specifications alone. Not just Mason Confectionery, but other manufacturers also began requesting, "We want to work with Ian." Baking became a unique strength in my sales strategy, a trait that set me apart. For the first time, it felt like my path was finally clear. That morning started like any other. The weather was great, and I had just finished preparing a cheesecake to take to a new client. "Ian, Timothy's calling for you." When I turned to look at my colleague, their expression was unusually grim. When I entered the meeting room, my father, mother, and brother were waiting. A thick stack of documents lay on the table. My father's expression was harsher than I had ever seen. "Explain this," he said, tossing a file toward me. As I flipped through it, I felt my blood run cold. Allegations of hygiene violations based on internal complaints, reports of several employees claiming illness, accusations of unauthorized sales activities causing workplace disruptions. Everything was documented in excruciating detail, complete with dates and times. Sweat began to form on my forehead. My trembling hands struggled to turn the pages. The evidence was unnaturally well organized. It was so flawlessly complete that I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. This is a lie. I source all my ingredients from professional suppliers, always check allergen labels, sanitize my workspace with alcohol every time, wear gloves, and always ask about allergies before sharing my pastries. More excuses. Do you realize you've completely destroyed the company's reputation? My father's fist slammed against the desk. My mother glared at me with disdain. Your amateurish sweets caused issues within the company. Several employees have reportedly fallen ill. It's clear now that your desserts were nothing but dangerous. Honestly, it's embarrassing. A man baking sweets? You're absolutely useless. You're nothing like Luke. At that moment, my brother slowly stood up. Without lifting his gaze from the documents, he spoke in a cold, detached tone. "This is disappointing, Ian. You seem to have neglected the basics, too absorbed in your hobby of baking. Keeping you employed has now become a liability for the company." His words left me with no room to argue. My father's voice, frigid as ice, cut through the air. "You are no longer needed at this company. As of today, you're fired." In that moment, it felt as though everything I'd built was collapsing. The trust I'd worked so hard to earn, the opportunities that had grown through my love of baking. It all crumbled like a sandcastle washed away by the tide. As I left the meeting room, I passed by my brother. In that fleeting moment, I saw it clearly, a faint smile playing on my brother's lips. 3 days had passed since I was forced out of the company. I lay on my bed, drowning in a sense of loss. My packaging work, my baking, all of it gone. While scrolling through job listings, I ignored every call that came to my phone. But then the chime of an email caught my attention. I wasn't planning to check it, but the sender's name stopped me in my tracks. "Apologies for the sudden message. This is Anna from Mason Confectionery. Could I have a moment of your time soon?" The next day, I found myself sitting across from Anna at a fancy cafe near the station. "I heard you left the company, Ian." I was truly shocked. "What happened?" "I was fired. Apparently, some people fell ill after eating the pastries I gave out. That can't be true. I've been eating your pastries for a long time, and I've never experienced anything like that. Something's not right. I should file a protest with Carter Packaging. No, I interrupted her, shaking my head gently as her concerned gaze met mine. In fact, this might have been a good opportunity. What do you mean? The truth is, I've always wanted to bake. Working in packaging sales was fulfilling, but this gave me a chance to pursue my true passion. I want to go down the path I've always dreamed of. As I spoke, it felt like I was confessing my innermost thoughts. Anna's expression shifted. In that case, I have a proposal for you. Would you consider working in our confectionery division? What? Your knowledge of packaging and your passion for baking. There's a department where both can be utilized. I'd like you to join our product development team, where you can contribute to creating new confections from the ground up. We're prepared to offer you 5 times your current salary. We also have a robust training program and plenty of opportunities to hone your craft. 5 times? I gasped, stunned. The sincerity in Anna's eyes made it clear that she wasn't joking. I could tell from the way you talked about pastries during our packaging discussions, the emotion you poured into your creations. It was obvious. You think not only about the craft, but also about the joy of those who enjoy the sweets. That's exactly what we've been looking for, Anne. Your talent is genuine. We'd love to see you use your passion and skills as part of our team. Anna leaned forward as she spoke, her words brimming with conviction. A warmth spread through my chest. For the first time, someone truly understood my dream. I took a deep breath and sat up straight. Making sweets has always been my dream. But more than that, I've always wanted to create something that could bring happiness to others. Working in packaging made that desire even stronger. I'd be honored to work for Mason Confectionery, in an environment where someone like you understands me. I want to give everything I have to this craft. As I spoke, my cheeks flushed, as if I were making a heartfelt confession. But I had no regrets. Anna's expression carried a mix of anticipation and kindness. Seeing that, I became certain my decision was the right one. 6 months had passed since I joined Mason Confectionery. Every day in the product development department, I was immersed in creating sweets. During a meeting to evaluate prototypes, I tasted a bite of a chocolate cake and instinctively muttered, "The balance of cacao in this is exquisite. It must be based on Venezuelan cacao mass, with about 20% Ghana cacao added to balance the acidity and sweetness. But the slight bitterness in the aftertaste, that's likely from blending a small percentage of Indonesian cacao. This bitterness sharpens the overall flavor, giving it a more sophisticated adult profile. You can tell all that?" An experienced patissier looked at me in astonishment. By tasting just one bite, I could identify the ingredients and techniques used. Before I knew it, people around me started calling me the magic palate. One day, during a product development meeting, Anna proposed an idea. When I was in Paris on a business trip, I tried a new dessert at a popular shop on the Champs-Élysées. Do you think you could recreate it with your magic palette? I'm sure it's possible. I remembered the cake Anne had once shared with me. The layered texture of the sponge, the caramel flavor, and the almond praline ratio were particularly memorable. I think I can recreate it. The base should be a sponge, but rolled thinner than usual, with caramel cream between the layers. As I started writing out the recipe on the spot, the others in the room looked at me in surprise. 3 days later, we held a tasting for the recreated cake prototype. Anna took one bite, her eyes widening. "I can't believe this. This is exactly the same as what I had in Paris. To think you could replicate the flavor from just one taste." But then, after taking another bite, Anna tilted her head slightly. "But somehow I like this version better than the one in Paris." Blushing slightly, I explained, I adjusted it to suit Japanese palates by reducing the caramel sweetness and enhancing the roasted flavor of the praline. I also made the sponge slightly moister. Yes, that's it. The Paris version was a bit too sweet and became cloying towards the end, but this is something you can enjoy it all the way through. It's so well calculated. Anna's eyes sparkled. This could be our original product. Wait, you mean to sell this? Of course. Something this delicious deserves to be shared with the world. True to her word, Anna launched the dessert as a new product from Mazon Confectionery, named Parisian Memory. It became an instant sensation upon release. Social media posts showing long lines at department stores for Parisian Memory began to trend. Gourmet magazines rushed to cover it, highlighting it as a new wave of sweets that blends the taste of Paris with Japanese sensibilities. Phones rang endlessly with reservations, and production struggled to keep up with demand. What will you make next? I can't wait for the follow-up to Parisian Memory. Customers' voices of excitement poured in, and department stores eagerly competed to host the next release. The success of Parisian Memory marked the beginning of my role as a lead in new product development. A seasonal limited edition dessert, Sakura Blossom, became the springtime favorite, charming fans with its cherry blossom aroma, soft pink hues, and refined sweetness. The summer shaved ice, Crystal Dream, featured jewel-like ice infused with fruit flavors and drizzled with custom syrups, becoming a signature menu item with long lines at every store. Eventually, the series of sweets I created became a standalone brand. The brand was named Sweets King, with temperature-controlled display cases, sophisticated packaging, and above all, flavors crafted with the utmost attention to quality and technique. It captured the hearts of dessert enthusiasts and never let go. Requests for store openings from department stores and media coverage poured in, and the brand's reputation soared with each passing day. With Anna's support, I was entrusted with everything from new product development to sales strategies. One Friday evening, I had just finished wrapping up some leftover work and was about to head home. Good job today. I unexpectedly bumped into Anna at the elevator lobby. Was she working late too? In her suit, she looked a bit tired but carried herself with her usual grace. On my end, do you have plans this Sunday? Her sudden question made me instinctively ask back. What? Oh, no, I don't have any plans. Good, she said with a small smile. Would you like to visit some famous patisseries in the city? It might give us ideas for new product development. But not as work. Just as a private outing. Her voice faltered slightly at the end, and she shyly averted her gaze. Yes, sure. My voice came out louder than I intended, echoing in the elevator lobby. Flustered, I quickly lowered my tone. Of course, I'd love to. I mean, being able to go pastry tasting with you is... The words wouldn't come out right. My heart wouldn't stop racing. Then let's meet at 11:00 a.m. at the 3rd Avenue crossing, she said with a soft smile. Yes, definitely. My voice cracked again. Anna chuckled lightly. Her laugh was so endearing that I felt my face flush with heat. As she stepped into the elevator, I waved goodbye, my heart buoyed by the thought of a weekend unlike any other. On the promised Sunday, I arrived at the meeting spot in Ginza to find Anna already there. She wasn't in her usual suit. Instead, she wore a light blue dress, her black hair gently tied back. She looked different from her usual composed and confident self. There was an almost innocent expression on her face that completely captured my attention. As we visited the renowned patisseries, we chatted endlessly about desserts. The crust on this tart is perfectly crisp, isn't it? And this cream, the subtle vanilla scent gives it such an elegant touch. Anna's refined palate and sharp observations amazed me once again. Her bright, joyful expressions were unlike anything I had seen at work. The way her eyes sparkled when she talked about sweets. Every glimpse of this new side of her made my heart race. As the sun began to set, we stopped by a cafe housed in a renovated old Western-style building. Sitting by the window, surrounded by antique furniture, Anna sipped her tea with graceful movements. I couldn't help but be mesmerized by her. What's wrong? Is something off? She furrowed her brow in concern, and I quickly shook my head. No, not at all. Thank you so much for today. Not just for today, but for everything. If it weren't for you hiring me after I was fired, I wouldn't be where I am now. If anything, I should be thanking you. I wouldn't be here without you. Her usual composed demeanor softened slightly. The tea in her cup reflected the gentle light, casting a warm glow. Ever since I was little, I was raised as the Maison confectionery heir. Expectations were always high. I had to know everything about sweets, prove myself as a capable leader. I studied relentlessly and always aimed for perfection. I couldn't show any weakness as the heir. How could I possibly complain about the weight of it all? Eventually, I got into the habit of bottling everything up. It created distance between me and those around me. Anna took a sip of tea and paused, her gaze drifting to the window. Her profile, illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun, seemed tinged with loneliness. One day in university, a friend invited me to a nearby university's festival, saying the sweets there were amazing. They were selling handmade chiffon cake. It was such a simple flavor, but it gave me a sense of relief. Before I knew it, I was in tears. Her expression softened, filled with nostalgia. My friends noticed something was wrong, and after brushing it off at first, I eventually opened up about the pressures of being the Mason confectionery heir, the expectations I faced, and the exhausting question of pretending to be perfect. When they told me, "Anna, you're just you," it made me so happy that I finally started sharing my feelings and forming genuine friendships. Anna held her teacup with both hands, a gentle smile gracing her face. Sweets have a mysterious power. They can open hearts and bring kindness to people. That day, I experienced it firsthand. It became my belief. I wanted to share that power with more people. That's why I decided to work for Mason Confectionery. I resolved to turn the pressure and expectations into motivation. Anna continued, her gaze fixed on something distant. Then, taking a deep breath, she turned to look straight at me. "And then I met you. When I tasted your sweets during that negotiation, I was stunned. They had the same warmth as the chiffon cake I had at that festival. I realized right away, it was you." "Wait, could it be? You're the one who came to my booth at the festival?" I asked. "Yes, I made you promise to open a shop, but I left without even asking for your contact information. I've regretted it ever since. I can't believe it was you all along." "Anna, back then, I was so focused on how others saw me that I always acted formally and rigidly as a company representative should. But when I tasted your chiffon cake, I couldn't help but express how moved I was. It felt so genuine." Her voice softened, but her hands gripped the cup with quiet intensity. "Afterward, during my visits to Carter Packaging for negotiations, I started observing you closely. I saw how you quietly offered sweets to colleagues when they were discouraged after a mistake, when the accounting team was overwhelmed with deadlines, or when sales reps were nervous before a presentation. Your kindness really touched me. Unaware I had been watched, I felt my face grow hot with embarrassment. Outside, the streetlights had started flickering on, one by one. Later, I learned that Mr. Carter forbade you from giving out sweets to employees. That moved me even more. How you continued to bake and share, despite defying your father. Your strength, your unwavering commitment to your beliefs, inspired me deeply. It gave me the courage to think, I can follow the path I believe in too. That's why the success of our brand is all thanks to you. The emotion you pour into your sweets reaches every single customer. It's something I could only accomplish because I had you by my side. Thank you, Ian." Her softly spoken words warmed my heart. The streetlights outside bathed the city in a gentle glow as night began to settle. 6 months after Sweets King had firmly established itself, I received an unexpected call from reception. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter from Carter Packaging are here to see you." Their sudden visit took my breath away. After consulting Anna, she responded, "Bring them to the meeting room." A few minutes later, I found myself sitting across from my parents, with Anna by my side. My father no longer exuded his usual authority. His shoulders were slumped, and my mother's expression was equally somber. "It's been a while, Ian," my father said, his voice unusually gentle. My father's voice was unusually gentle. Furrowing my brow, sensing something was wrong, I waited as he began to speak. "The truth is, the company's financial situation has become dire." He handed me the financial report with trembling hands. Skimming through it, I felt a chill run down my spine. Sales had dropped by 30% compared to the previous year. Contracts with 3 major confectionery manufacturers, the company's core clients, had been terminated and dealings with a luxury chocolate maker were being scaled back. While there were new inquiries, negotiations had stalled and no deals had been secured. Poor decision-making and unilateral pricing proposals had caused a loss of trust from long-standing clients. Complaints about lack of quality control and packaging had escalated, leading some companies to sever ties entirely. Loan repayments were falling behind, and additional financing from banks was no longer an option. If nothing changed, even next month's payroll might not be met. On top of that, the lease on state-of-the-art printing machines was a significant financial burden. The livelihoods of 300 employees were hanging by a thread. At the end of the report, a bankruptcy simulation was laid out in black and white. It was like a written acknowledgement of defeat, something I never thought my father would admit. "Look at this graph," my father said, pointing to a line chart of performance trends. The downward curve had steepened ever since my brother had assumed more control. The company's hard-earned technical expertise and decades of trust had started crumbling in just 6 months. Luke turned out to be such a disappointment. We sent him to a good university. I raised him so strictly. Maybe spoiling him was a mistake. In hindsight, we should have made him struggle like Anne. He just wasn't cut out to be a CEO. I couldn't help but smile bitterly at her sudden change of tone. My father looked up from the report, his eyes filled with a desperation I'd never seen before. "Ian, please come back. You're the only one who can save this company. Your achievements at Mason Confectionery are well known across the industry. Unlike Luke, you have what it takes to lead." "That's right," my mother added, her voice soft and uncharacteristically kind. "Ian, you've pulled yourself up with your own strength, not like Luke, who relied on his parents' protection. I've heard about how popular your products are at Mason Confectionery, and I couldn't be prouder." My mother suddenly spoke in an unexpectedly gentle tone. Gone was the disdain she used to direct at me. After a moment of silence, I finally spoke. "All right, I'll think about it seriously." At my words, my parents' faces lit up instantly. "Really?" they said. "I knew you'd understand, Ian. Bring your skills from Sweets King to our company. Don't worry about salary. We'll make sure you're compensated better than now." My mother's eyes welled up, and for the first time in years, my father smiled with a pasted-on smile. I listened as my parents continued speaking as if everything had already been decided. As they left the meeting room, their backs seemed lighter, almost buoyant, compared to when they had arrived. The door closed behind them, and Anna immediately turned to glare at me, her eyes sharp with frustration. "Are you serious?" she asked. "Just when Sweets King is gaining momentum and heading toward bigger successes, if you leave this brand?" "No." Her voice was quiet but filled with urgency. Anna's face paled, her expression resembling someone on the verge of losing something precious. She bit her trembling lips to hold back her emotions. I offered her a gentle smile. "Don't worry. I'm not leaving this company. I have an idea." Her expression shifted, curiosity and hope replacing her initial fear. She seemed to catch the determined glimmer in my eyes. A week later, I stepped into the Carter Packaging meeting room. My parents greeted me with beaming smiles. "You've come back to us already. That's our boy," my mother said, visibly relieved. "I've already come up with a new sales strategy," my father began. "Before that, I have a proposal," I said calmly, stopping him just as he reached for a folder of documents. I placed the acquisition proposal Anna and I had prepared on the table. "I want Mason Confectionery to acquire Carter Packaging." "What?" My father's smile froze in place. My mother picked up the proposal and stared at it, stunned. "If we combine Carter Packaging's packaging expertise with our brand power, we can achieve significant synergies for the Sweets King brand. In particular, we're planning product lines that emphasize premium packaging." My voice was steady, cutting through the tense atmosphere. My mother's voice shook as she spoke. "Wait a minute. What are you saying, Anne? I thought you were coming back. Don't say something so absurd. If nothing changes, bankruptcy is inevitable. Loan repayments are overdue. Major clients are terminating contracts one after another." "I know that, but handing over our company to someone else is out of the question." My father slammed his fist on the table, his face flushed with anger. I maintained my composure and continued. Mason Confectionery can protect the employees' jobs, invest in new equipment, and most importantly, preserve and expand Carter Packaging's technical legacy. My father gripped the financial report tightly, his face a mix of denial and desperation. Suddenly, his expression brightened, as if he had thought of something clever. He smirked at me. "You clearly don't understand, Nyan. You're not a shareholder, so you can't make an acquisition happen." "That won't be an issue," I replied, sliding a shareholder registry across the table. Both of my parents' eyes widened as they scanned the document. "This?" My father's trembling hands flipped through the registry. Next to my name was listed a 20% ownership of the company's outstanding shares. When did you?" "I've been quietly buying shares on the market over the past year." But my father's smirk didn't waver. "Even so, that's not enough for an acquisition. You need a majority stake." At that moment, the door to the meeting room opened. "Then this should suffice." I turned to see Luke standing in the doorway in a sharp suit. His expression was calm, almost serene, as he stepped into the room. "Luke," my parents exclaimed in unison. But my brother ignored them and handed me a thick folder. I opened it and began to read through the documents. It contained everything necessary for a stock transfer agreement. The date on the papers was the same day I left the company. "I've received them, Luke. With this, my shares now exceed the majority threshold," I said firmly. "What is this, Luke?" "Ian, don't tell me you two planned this together." My father's voice trembled with anger. Luke shook his head calmly. "No, this was my decision. On the day Ian left, I promised to transfer all my shares to him when the time came. I prepared these papers knowing they might be needed someday." The air in the meeting room turned ice cold as tension filled the space. Luke turned to face our parents directly. "The truth is, everything that happened to Ian, all of it was my doing." "What?" "Every report about Ian's pastries claiming that employees got sick, allegations of improper allergen labeling, it was all fabricated by me. I created false documents imitating official company formats, complete with stamps, dates, and locations, making it look convincing. I kept them hidden in my desk until the right moment and then presented them to you." Luke's voice grew quieter as he confessed. "I knew Ian's pastries would never harm anyone, but even so, I thought this was the only way to protect him." My mother let out a faint scream. My father's voice wavered as he asked, "Why would you do such a thing?" "Because if things continued as they were, Ian's talent would have been crushed. You didn't see it, but he had so much potential. Staying in this company wouldn't have allowed him to flourish. Forcing him out of your control was the only way to free him. I thought it through and decided this was the only option. Besides, you and Mother, you've been involved in misconduct, haven't you?" "What nonsense are you spouting?" "Luke," as my father began to stand in anger, Luke pulled out another thick file, fictitious orders, slush funds, unfair price cuts imposed on subcontractors. "I have all the evidence, especially from last year's records. You inflated unit prices on mass-produced items, diverting the difference into slush funds. Meanwhile, subcontractors were forced to produce at prices below cost. These are internal reports from the accounting department and testimonies from employees who were threatened into silence. They've reached their limit." Luke's hands trembled as he opened the file. My father's face turned pale. "Luke, since when?" "I've been investigating for 6 months. At first, I just had a feeling something was off with management, but the more I dug, the more corruption I uncovered. At this rate, the company, the employees, everyone will go down together." The weight of his words cast a heavy silence over the room. My mother buried her face in her hands, and my father slumped into his chair, looking defeated. He gritted his teeth and glared at Luke. "Luke, are you trying to ruin your own parents? Do you have any idea who gave you the life you have now? We sent you to university, got you into a good company, and this is how you repay us. What misconduct? It was necessary to keep the company afloat. Can't you see that? You don't have what it takes to be a leader. How dare you act so self-righteous?" My father banged the table and stood up, but Luke didn't back down. Standing tall, he faced him head on. Being your son doesn't justify turning a blind eye to wrongdoing. The employees are working themselves to the bone without proper overtime pay just to keep this company running. They have families to provide for, and you've crushed their livelihoods with your misconduct. This isn't a company, it's a den of criminals. At that moment, my mother clung to Luke's arm, tears streaming down her face. Luke, I thought you'd always be on our side. I've loved you so much. That's exactly the problem. I played the part of the beloved Luke to meet your expectations. I tried to be the perfect son you wanted, but while I was pretending, the company was rotting from the inside. I can't stay silent any longer. His words left my parents speechless. The atmosphere in the room grew heavier. In the midst of it all, I spoke quietly. Actually, Luke has been consulting with me about this for the past 6 months. As I spoke, my mind drifted back to that day, a rainy night. It was just after I'd been forced out of the company and I was sitting in my apartment feeling lost. I wasn't expecting anyone, but I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, Luke stood there, drenched from head to toe. "Ian, can I talk to you?" Rainwater dripped from his suit. He must have come without an umbrella. The always composed and dignified Luke looked utterly broken at that moment. As soon as he entered my apartment, he knelt on the floor and bowed deeply. "What are you?" "I'm sorry. Truly, I'm sorry," my brother said, his trembling voice repeating the apology over and over. I was taken aback, unable to reconcile this image of him with the composed, confident person I had always known. "I never intended to drag you into this, and yet I ended up relying on you. Please forgive me for being so weak." "What do you mean? Tell me everything." His usually resolute voice quivered. When I reviewed last year's financial statements, I realized the depth of it. Fictitious orders, slush funds, bullying of subcontractors. Dad and Mom's misconduct kept escalating. He ran a shaking hand through his hair before continuing. "I couldn't let you be dragged into their corruption. The only way to protect you was to push you out of the company, even if it meant resorting to deception. So I made up those reports and got you fired. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. So then, yes, the reports about the supposed harm caused by your pastries, they were my fabrication." "I see. That's how it was." "It was the only way to get you away from the company, away from Dad and Mom." His voice caught for a moment. "After that, I worked tirelessly. I submitted countless proposals for restructuring, sought new clients, and tried to steer the company in the right direction." His clenched fists trembled. "But in the end, I couldn't change Dad and Mom. No one took the words of their perfect sons seriously. This company, its employees, everyone is on the brink. But you, Ian, you have the power to change it. Luke, please, save this company with your hands, for the employees, for the clients, and for Dad and Mom." Tears welled in his eyes as he bowed deeply once more. My brother, always the model student, had carried the full weight of our parents' expectations. He must have had his own share of struggles. Seeing him plead so earnestly, I felt my chest tighten. Our parents' eyes turned toward me, filled with anticipation. "Luke and I aren't trying to destroy this company. On the contrary, we want to save it. By working with Mason Confectionery, we can rebuild it into something new." A heavy silence settled over the meeting room, breaking the tension. I turned to my mother. "Mom, do you remember back when the company was still small? You used to make sweets for us after work. When we'd come home, you'd have cookies or cream puffs waiting for us. Even though Dad was tired, those sweets always made him smile. We'd all sit around, share the treats, and talk about our day." Yes, a nostalgic smile played on her lips. "Back then, making sweets at home was cheaper than buying them, so that's why I did." Fighting back the wave of emotions rising within me, I pressed on with a trembling voice. "A house that smelled of cookies you made." Dad smiled as he said, "This is delicious. The way we fought over the cream puffs because they were so good. Those moments when our whole family laughed together. I love them. That's why I started baking. Because sweets have a magical power, don't they? They say no matter how tough things are, the moment you take a bite of something sweet, it warms your heart. That's the kind of power sweets have." My voice faltered as my eyes grew hot, but I couldn't stop. I wanted to bring back those smiles, those moments when we could all laugh together as a family. As the company grew, that warmth seemed to slip away. Through baking, I wanted to see everyone smile again. That's why I want to save this company, because I believe we can make it a place that brings smiles to everyone once more. My father's eyes glistened, and my mother's shoulders trembled as she quietly sobbed. My brother closed his eyes, a serene expression on his face. After a long silence, my father finally spoke, his voice heavy. We were wrong. As the company grew, we lost sight of what truly mattered. We started chasing numbers as if profits were all that mattered. He pressed his trembling hand to his eyes. My mother let out a deep sigh. That's right. Before I realized it, I was saying things like Luke graduated from Tokyo University, while putting down yen for attending a local private university. We used our children's lives as tools for our pride and vanity. Exactly, my father added. At first, we convinced ourselves it was for our kids. A good university, a good job. But in truth, it was all to satisfy our own egos. We compared Ian to Luke every chance we got, belittling his achievements. Every time Ian tried to prove himself, we said Luke would have done it perfectly. We forced our values on you and made you compete. My mother's voice caught as she struggled to continue. My father looked at us, his gaze heavy with regret. And yet you two were different. Luke believed in Ian's talent and worked to protect it. Ian fought to bring back the smiles we'd lost as a family. You understood what truly mattered far better than we did. We were just arrogant adults, blinded by our own pride. My mother wiped her tears, and my father stood in front of me and my brother. Ian, I'm sorry for trying to crush your talent. I belittled your passion for baking, mocked it, and denied it. Yet despite all that, you kept a warm heart and held on to the importance of family. And Luke, I'm sorry for placing such overwhelming expectations on you, for forcing you into the mold of the perfect eldest son and making you carry such a heavy burden. Despite it all, you always put your brother first and genuinely tried to help this company. To both of you, I deeply apologize for being such a terrible parent. Can you let us start over again as a family in this new company, as a true family this time? Both of them bowed deeply in front of us. Seeing them like that, the many emotions I'd bottled up inside began to transform into something warmer. My brother and I exchanged a glance and gave a small nod. The tension in the meeting room slowly began to melt away, replaced by a growing warmth. 1 month later, the acquisition of Carter Packaging by Mason Confectionery was officially finalized. At the press conference, my parents' dismissal from the board and their disciplinary termination for misconduct were also announced. Anna entrusted me with full authority over the new post-acquisition structure. I'm leaving this project in your hands, she said, pointing to the new organizational chart. During a meeting at headquarters, my name was listed as an executive officer. Below it, as the head of corporate planning, was Luke's name. Luke will oversee the implementation of operational improvements. He knows the challenges on the ground better than anyone. Under Luke's leadership, reforms began to yield tangible results. Unjust cost-cutting measures imposed on subcontractors were corrected, and relations with partners were mended. The issue of unpaid overtime was also resolved. As a result, the employees' expressions grew brighter with each passing day. The once heavy atmosphere lifted, and the workplace began to buzz with energy again. Ian, this is all thanks to you. Our packaging quality has improved, and our clients are raving about it, Luke said with a sheepish smile. He still seemed unaccustomed to my new title, often catching himself mid-sentence. Don't mention it. Anyway, could I get your input on this next project? He handed me a proposal filled with ideas for new packaging designs that perfectly captured the essence of the Sweets King brand. It was clear he put a lot of thought into enhancing the appeal of the desserts. The reborn Carter Packaging was making steady progress, and the warmth in my chest only grew. One day, I had an unexpected encounter at the cafeteria in headquarters. During lunch, I saw my mother arriving with a small package in hand. Ian, Luke, I made cookies for you today. It's been a while, but I thought I'd try baking again. The bag she offered carried the familiar aroma of the cookies she used to make. Now my mother works part-time in accounting, helping with data entry. She no longer has her prestigious title or lavish lifestyle, but her expression is softer and more genuine than it used to be. I've started making treats for the employees sometimes too. Watching you, Ian, I realized how sweets truly have the power to make people smile. My father now works quietly in the warehouse, managing inventory. The aura of authority he once exuded is gone, replaced by a humbler demeanor. He often shares laughs with the younger staff, showing a newfound warmth. They've really changed, haven't they? Luke remarked. But maybe this is how our parents were meant to be. I think they finally realized what truly matters beyond status and pride. The aroma of my mother's cookies filled the office. It brought back memories of the warmth our family once shared, while also signaling the beginning of a new bond. One evening, after the month-end budget meeting, I was tidying up the conference room when a familiar voice said, "Good work today." I turned to see Anna standing by the window, her figure framed by the glittering night skyline. Her expression was softer than usual. "Today's planning meeting brought up some great ideas," she said. "Ah, are you talking about the new packaging designs?" I asked, "Yes, but more than that. Seeing you listen to everyone's opinions and address each issue with such care, I realized how grateful I am to have you by my side." Anna said softly. In the moonlight, her profile seemed unusually captivating. "At first, I was drawn to your talent for making sweets, but then I realized something even more important. The focused look on your face when you're creating, the sparkle in your eyes as you imagine how happy someone will be, your kindness always staying close to others, and your strength never giving up on your dreams. All of that has been my support." Anna slowly turned to face me. Our eyes met, and I couldn't help but hold my breath. "The emotions you pour into your sweets have always warmed my heart," she continued. "Whenever I felt lost at work or under pressure, eating something you made gave me courage. And before I knew it, it wasn't just the sweets I loved. No, more than that, I had fallen for you, the one who makes them." Warmth filled my chest in the stillness of the meeting room. Anna's gentle breath carried a faintly sweet fragrance. Her soft gaze, something I had never noticed before, seemed to draw me in endlessly. "I feel the same, Anna. I love you. You've always supported me, believed in my dreams. Without you, I wouldn't be who I am today. If we can continue walking this path together, I couldn't ask for more." Her cheeks flushed softly, and a tender smile graced her lips in response to my words. Outside the window, the city lights sparkled as if celebrating us. The calendar showed that spring was just around the corner. A new season of sweets was about to begin, and I knew with certainty that together we would bring countless smiles to people in the days to come. The thought filled my chest with a gentle warmth as I reached to turn off the lights in the meeting room. A small shoulder brushed against my arm. Even after being driven out of the company, having my dreams dismissed, and enduring unfair treatment, I never gave up on the path I believed in. I wanted to make people happy through sweets. That desire had always been my anchor. By staying true to my convictions and persevering, I had finally found someone who truly understood me. My encounter with Anna taught me this. What truly matters isn't numbers or external evaluations. It's about staying sincere to what you believe is right. If you do, the path will inevitably open before you. Pride in my work and faith in my conviction, by staying true to them, I knew I'd always find fulfillment in the end. And I wanted to keep being that kind of person.
In high school, I endured constant teasing from a beautiful classmate who would mock me as a nerd. Even now, she continues to insult me, calling me ugly. Irritated by her disrespect towards my cherished partner, I felt it might be time to set her straight. As I pondered this, a tap on my shoulder interrupted my thoughts. Sorry for the delay, a familiar voice spoke. Turning around, I was greeted by the sight of my beloved wife. The classmate's expression changed the moment she witnessed this encounter, marking the start of her downfall. I'm Mitch, the owner of a local cafe. Operating this cafe has been my lifelong dream. Though small in size, we prioritize using high-quality ingredients in every dish, which has earned us recognition in magazines. I'm also meticulous about our coffee beans, often traveling to source them directly. This dedication has sparked disbelief from some friends, but gained the respect of others in the industry. I've even honed my latte art skills, recently winning a competition, a testament to my expertise. Mitch, how's the cafe faring lately? A friend inquired. It's doing well, I responded. How about you? I asked. I'm doing great too. Can I stop by your cafe sometime? They inquired. Absolutely. We're excited for your visit, I replied. I'm grateful for the support. The accomplishment of my cafe is greatly attributed to my wife, Kay. She balances domestic duties with her demanding work. Oh, what a lovely plant, I commented, admiring the new addition to our home. Yes, greenery has a calming effect, and this one complements our space, so I had to get it, she explained. Looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, I believe it's wonderful, I concurred. Our home is well maintained thanks to her. Kay's taste is exceptional, and her designs could easily become viral sensations on social media. She's not just decorated our home, but also the cafe. Owing to her efforts, both have an elegant and refined look. I lack a discerning aesthetic sense, so I'm grateful for her guidance. Your taste is incredible, I told her. Thanks, it's part of the job, she replied. I can't express my gratitude enough, I added. However, despite her seemingly flawless talents, Kay has one major shortcoming. She can't cook. Mitch, the toast is ready, she said one morning. Great. Let's top it with slices of avocado and serve it with homemade consomme soup, I suggested. That's amazing. I could never do that. My avocados always turn out bad, and the soup ends up black, she admitted. Kay has a fatal lack of culinary skills. To this day, she can only manage to make toast and a honeymoon salad. She used to try cooking for me in the past, but it never went well. I noticed a lot of smoke coming from the kitchen, I said when she tried to fry an egg. You're supposed to crack the eggs first before cooking them. And based on the amount of smoke, it seems you didn't use any oil, did you? She had put the whole eggs in the pan, nearly causing a fire with the high heat. Another time, she tried making boiled eggs in the microwave. What's that loud noise? I asked. Did you just put the eggs in the microwave like that? Yeah, she replied sheepishly. You can cook boiled eggs in the microwave, but if you don't crack them first, they'll explode, I explained. She also attempted to make chicken noodle soup, but it turned into a dark, murky liquid. I did my best to salvage her cooking efforts, but most of it was beyond repair. I guess I'm just not good at cooking, she eventually admitted, giving up on her culinary skills. Mitch, you're amazing. You can create such stylish and nutritious dishes, she said. Thanks, but Kay, you're amazing too. Even though you may not be a talented cook, everything else about you is perfect. The place really has a lovely, welcoming atmosphere. While my aesthetic sensibilities may differ from yours, I'm sure you've done a fantastic job creating such a warm and inviting living space, I expressed with sincerity. Although I may not be an expert in the kitchen, I can prepare delightful and nutritious meals. Although my fashion sense may not be the strongest, Kay has a talent for making our home look beautiful. We support each other in this way and live peacefully. One day, I received an invitation to a high school reunion. Oh, really? I said, reading the letter. The reunion committee consisted of my former classmates, and the organizer was Ashley, a person I never got along with. Ashley was a pageant winner who always looked down on others. I never had a good impression of her and tried to keep my distance. In high school, I was less refined, often laughed at, and called a failure. Hanging out with a failure again? That's the worst. Stay away from me, she would say. I don't like it either, I'd reply, but she would laugh at me. Despite my efforts to avoid her, we were in the same class for 3 years with seats near each other, so I was constantly ridiculed. It was difficult, but my friends, especially my best friend Kevin, stood up for me. What's the matter, Jess? You seem troubled, Kay inquired with concern. It's about the upcoming high school reunion, I confessed. Truthfully, I wasn't thrilled about attending an event organized by Ashley and her group. However, I had formed meaningful connections with many other former classmates, and I was eager to reconnect with them after all these years. If you're hesitant, you don't have to interact with the organizers. Just focus on the people you care about, Kay suggested reassuringly. Motivated by her support, I decided to go and let them know of my plans. I'll be here to pick you up afterwards, so feel free to relax and have a good time, Kay added with a kind smile. I reciprocated the gesture, saying, "Thanks, I'm looking forward to it now." "Jess, I hope you have a wonderful time." Her words of encouragement filled me with anticipation for the reunion. "Greetings, Mitch. There you are, my old friend. Come join us over here. Mitch, it's been ages. We've missed you dearly." As I arrived at the event venue that day, several familiar faces from our high school days warmly welcomed me. Kevin was among them, of course. "It's truly been too long, Mitch. We've all been keeping well, though you've definitely acquired a sun-kissed glow from your time abroad. Indeed, you've developed quite a fashionable flair, my friend. It's remarkable to see how we've all evolved since those carefree school days. Yet, once we started catching up, it felt as if no time had passed at all." I momentarily forgot my concerns about the event's organization and simply reveled in the joy of reconnecting with dear old friends. Thanks to Kay's encouragement, I'm glad I made the effort to attend. Greetings, everyone. So good to see you all again. And here comes the guest of honor, the pageant winner herself, Ashley. Her boisterous arrival and striking appearance immediately commanded the attention of the entire venue. "Nice to see you, Kay. And Ashley, you're looking as radiant as ever." A group of our former classmates, dressed in a similarly flamboyant manner, gathered around Ashley, almost like a devoted entourage. "Kevin, that comparison to Kim Kardashian and her enthusiastic fans is a bit harsh, don't you think? The little critters that gather around never cease to amaze us. You really do tend to go overboard with your analogies, don't you?" Our companions giggled softly, listening to our chat. Ashley peeked in our direction. "You people are perpetually so dreary and drag down the atmosphere, as per usual." The women looked down on us, dismissing our worth. "I bet you're all still unimpressive. Your partners must be unattractive, if you even have any. You're probably still lurking on the fringes of society," they sneered. "That's right. They've been sidelined at work, or maybe they're just unemployed hermits. We shouldn't get too close to them," they continued. They said whatever they pleased about us. I glanced at Kevin's frowning face. Unimpressive. I wonder what they're basing that on. Before criticizing others, they should take a hard look at themselves, I muttered. "We're not even interested in you in the first place," Kevin whispered, his voice barely audible to them. Unlike in high school, where he would have responded and faced their glares, Kevin seemed to have matured and chosen not to engage. After they had their fill of badmouthing us, Ashley and her group found a new target and left. They're gone now. It's always the same with them. Just put-downs and show-off behavior, I said. Ashley's glamorous beauty was still apparent, and it only seemed to have grown more captivating over time. "Look at this, my fabulous life," she posted loudly on social media, her boasting clearly audible. Regardless of our desires, she claimed to have various benefactors who funded her way of life. Given Ashley's striking appearance, it's not surprising, she added. "Thanks to them, I can live comfortably without toiling like the rest of us," she boasted. For those of us who strive through diligence, her remarks seemed like they belonged in a different realm. "It's as if she inhabits a separate world," we remarked. "We want no part of that, do we?" Suddenly, the conversation shifted as one of us mentioned finding something Kevin had previously discussed. "Don't do it. I'd be mortified if someone I know purchased it," they exclaimed. Quickly, we returned to our own engrossing dialogue, more invested in our own topics than her extravagant claims. "This is my partner," she said proudly. "Wow, he's quite a looker. Someone like him is the perfect match for you," I responded in awe. "Let's see your significant other as well," she insisted. "I feel a bit awkward following Ashley's impressive partner," I admitted sheepishly. "Oh, he looks lovely, doesn't he?" she commented. "Thanks. By the way, didn't you mention you recently found a boyfriend?" I inquired. "Yes, I'd love to introduce you." "Go on, show us," she urged. Ashley and the others were excitedly sharing pictures of their beloved companions, clearly enjoying the moment. "Hey, let's summon our spouses over," someone suggested. "Why not?" "My guy said he'd join us if I called," another replied. "Really? Ashley's handsome fiancé is coming too?" I asked, intrigued. "Awesome," they chorused. It seemed that Ashley's partner would also be making an appearance. Speaking of which, I wondered if the rest of us had found our own partners. Listening to their conversation, our discussion naturally gravitated towards that topic. I noted. "I'm still single, but Mitch, you're married, right?" I inquired. "Yes, that's correct," he confirmed. "Mitch is married," the others exclaimed in surprise. "Yeah, we kept things simple. We just registered our marriage and had a small gathering with our families, as we were both quite occupied with work," Mitch explained. "I see, and you're wearing a wedding band," I observed. "Indeed." "Congratulations, my friend," they offered their well wishes. "Thank you," Mitch responded. My friends were surprised to learn that I had tied the knot. Kevin was aware, as we had stayed in touch since high school, but I hadn't had the opportunity to share the news with the others due to our hectic lifestyles. Hearing the news, Ashley and her squad ambled over to join our talk. One of the nerds, it appears, had taken the leap into wedlock. Quite a feat for someone of that ilk, wouldn't you say? Marrying someone like him, what kind of person would choose that? She must have poor taste in partners. Probably an unfashionable woman who couldn't find anyone better than a nerd like him. Oblivious to our disapproving expressions, Ashley and her friends speculated and giggled about my wife. "Certainly unattractive," they remarked. "She must be a perfect match for a guy like you, a complete loser." Ashley laughed loudly, drawing everyone's attention while I struggled to suppress my anger. Being insulted about my kind and beloved girlfriend by someone like her was infuriating. "Ashley, it seems you're having quite a lively time," Tyler said amidst the tense atmosphere. Ashley's much-discussed fiancé arrived. "This is Tyler, my fiancé. He's a handsome, successful entrepreneur," Ashley said, clinging to her fiancé's arm. He was indeed handsome, dressed in an expensive-looking suit. Wait, that face. While everyone's attention was focused, I realized I knew him. Could it be Mitch? I now recall. "You're Tyler?" Oh, it was Tyler, the fiancé who recognized me first. "Mitch, is that you?" I asked. "I'm grateful for your assistance," he spoke to me politely. "Likewise. Thank you, Tyler." I stood up and greeted him. I never imagined I'd encounter Mitch here. "Look at that. You and my girlfriend are the same age. It's almost like we were meant to meet this way." "You're absolutely right. The world can be quite small at times." "Wait, hold on. Do you know this guy?" Ashley asked Tyler as we chatted casually. Tyler's friendly expression quickly shifted to one of irritation when she called Mitch a nerd. "What do you mean by that?" Tyler said. "What's the problem?" "It's just a fact. He's a nerd, that's all," Ashley whispered to the side. "Don't say that. You're mocking Mitch. Why do you always look down on people?" Tyler responded. "Just answer my question. Mitch owns the property where my shop is located. He has a lot of real estate around here." Tyler revealed personal details about me. "Turns out my family has money, and I own several properties myself. Running my own shop was a dream, but managing all those properties was challenging, so I rented them out. Tyler was one of the managers looking after one of my properties. He's a polite and earnest person, someone I trusted and heard was successful in business. No way. A nerd like him can't be a wealthy landowner, Ashley said, refusing to believe it even after Tyler's explanation. You only believe what benefits you, Tyler sighed, apologizing to me. Though he wasn't to blame, that's why I respected him. Hey, it does seem true, doesn't it? Ashley said, looking at us. Even if he has real estate, he's still an unattractive nerd. His wife must be unattractive too. Come on, show us your ugly wife who matches you. Tyler tried to stop her, but Ashley was out of control. I hesitated to approach this loud woman, but this could be a chance to challenge her assumptions. While I considered this, my wife, Kay, approached me. Apologies for the delay, she said, tapping my shoulder. Kay, you're here, I exclaimed joyfully. I got here early, Jess, she explained. I thought about waiting outside, but then I came in wearing sunglasses and a hat. Her slim silhouette made it clear she was no ordinary person. Seemingly unsatisfied with our relaxed chat, Ashley impatiently snatched Kay's hat and sunglasses, demanding, Hey, show your face. Whoa, it's that popular model, Claire, isn't it? The crowd erupted in cheers as Kay's face was revealed. Jess, this is my wife, Kay, who used to model under the name Claire. She was a well-known celebrity, often seen on TV, admired for her down-to-earth personality, healthy lifestyle, and great fashion sense, making her a regular on various shows. Nice to meet you. I'm Kay, the model known as Claire, she said, turning towards Ashley with a smile. The real Claire. Incredible. I'm a fan. Can I get an autograph? The crowd cheered as Kay made her appearance. Ashley was speechless and seemed stunned. Ashley, it's been a while. Do you remember me? Kay asked, her smile still on her face. What? Ashley frowned, puzzled by the question. Her expression showed she didn't understand. My maiden name is Parker, Kay continued. Parker. Parker. Ashley seemed to recall. The classmate you used to bully, forcing her to change schools. No way. Ashley's face grew paler as the memory came back to her. I remembered what Kay had told me before. We were in middle school together, and in the first year, Ashley had started bullying Kay. My personal belongings would frequently go missing. Every day, I faced baseless rumors about my parents being criminals or our family being poor. It was truly distressing. I recalled that Kay had struggled with these issues since middle school. She had a different appearance back then. Shorter, plumper, with acne and plain features. Sadly, she was constantly mocked and ridiculed by Ashley, who seemed to find satisfaction in putting her down. Unable to endure the daily taunts about her looks, Kay decided to transfer to another school before her second year of middle school. Even after Kay left, Ashley continued to bully others, perhaps feeling better about herself by asserting her perceived superiority over those she deemed inferior. Her unfounded confidence had only made her more arrogant, and she surrounded herself with followers and had her pick of boys. I've worked hard since then, determined to prove myself to you. At first, it didn't go well, but I persevered. Kay conveyed this message, but then she took it back, saying, You're not even worth proving anything to. That was a mistake. Instead of her usual pleasant smile, Kay now looked down on Ashley with a derisive grin. What do you mean by that? Ashley asked. Kay firmly told her, It's obvious you're hiding your rough skin under makeup. You might be spending money, but your unhealthy habits show in your body. Shapewear alone can't hide your figure well. Social media might showcase your glamorous life, but it's clear it's all superficial. The content is shallow. One critique after another followed, and indeed, they were all true. The crowd began to laugh, agreeing with Kay's assessment. Feeling looked down upon for the first time in her life, Ashley turned bright red with anger. "Don't mess with me. Stop it," she exclaimed. Seeing Ashley lunge at Kay, I instinctively moved to shield her. Right then, the sound of a camera shutter clicked. Noticed Kevin aiming his camera at Ashley's unsightly features. "What are you capturing on camera? Conduct yourself properly." As I and Tyler held back the still irritated Ashley, Kevin persisted in photographing her. "I'm an accomplished photographer, so I've captured the perfect shot." After completing his studies, Kevin chased his passion and became a renowned globe-trotting photographer. His photo books sell out rapidly. If you continue this, I'll post these images on your social media. The true face of the self-proclaimed beautiful celebrity. My pictures will surely grab everyone's attention. I don't mind. Go ahead, Claire, or whatever, and you, the property owner, get over yourselves and fail. I couldn't care less. Threatened by Kevin, Ashley hurled a final insult and left. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disturbance." Tyler apologized with an embarrassed look. Since he didn't seem to follow her, it was clear what would become of the two. The reunion ended prematurely, perhaps due to the awkwardness in the presence of the famous. "Claire, did I go too far?" Kay pondered on our way back. "Not at all. I honestly felt refreshed." "Really?" But the reunion ended because of it. "It's okay." The friends and I exchanged contacts and decided to have a mini reunion at Tyler's place. "Then that's good." "Yeah, and I was angry too for you being insulted. Thanks for speaking up for me." "You're welcome." After getting out of the car, we walked hand in hand toward our home. I'd watched Kay smile beside me and remembered how we met. "I'm Kay, new to your class starting today. Nice to meet you." Kay transferred to my middle school when we were in the 8th grade. "I'm Mitch. Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you. You don't have your textbooks yet, right? Let's share during class." "Thank you." We ended up sitting next to each other by chance, and I shared my textbook with her during class. That was the beginning, and slowly we started talking more and more. Gradually, we became closer and developed a good friendship. On the day of our graduation, we exchanged contact information and graduated. At that time, it was just a friendly relationship, and we naturally drifted apart. Welcome. Hello. I reunited with her when I opened my own cafe. Struggling with attracting customers to my startup cafe, I was at my wit's end. "Are you Mitch by any chance?" "Oh, are you Kay?" Kay came in as a customer at a time like that. Delighted by this unexpected reunion, we shared various stories with each other. By then, Kay had already started working as a model. She had grown taller, but was still full-figured and struggled with skin problems. After that, she became a regular in my cafe. I hope I'm not overstepping, but there are no customers right now. I'm actually concerned about the consistently empty cafe. Kay listened as I explained everything without holding back. "Mitch, what is it? I might be able to help a little." Following her advice, I remodeled the cafe, and gradually more customers started coming in. I also began to worry about Kay's dietary habits. Knowing she couldn't cook and often ate carelessly, I started offering her healthy, vegetable-rich meals to help improve her diet. "Hey, Mitch, I heard this kind of food is good." "Yeah, I can make this. Let's try it together." We researched meals beneficial for beauty, and with her efforts, Kay rapidly became more beautiful. As a result, her modeling work increased, and she is now a popular model. We positively influenced each other, leading to success in our respective fields. "Kay, you like this cat character too?" "Yes, I do." We had many common interests, and our hobbies matched. When we shared our past experiences, we realized we had both been harassed by the same person and sympathized with each other. Our relationship deepened, and after I asked her out, we started dating, leading to marriage a few years later. We still advise each other and live happily together. I think meeting Kay again that day was fate. Oh, why bring that up all of a sudden? Kay laughed happily at my words, likely feeling the same. It was a strange connection, both being harassed by the same person. But I wanted to cherish this bond. Holding her warm hand, I felt strongly about it. Afterward, Ashley's social media was being flamed. Kevin didn't post the photo after all, but the story of the reunion spread among other classmates. Well, insulting a popular model like Kay and antagonizing me and Kevin, both somewhat known in our industries, was bound to backfire. It was inevitable. Ashley, with her angry, almost demon-like expression, became an internet meme. She could no longer claim to be an influencer. Later, at a small reunion at Tyler's place, he shared the details. I broke up with Ashley. She didn't like it, but there were already things bothering me, so it was a good opportunity. That must have been tough for you, Tyler said. It's nothing compared to what you and Kay went through, I replied. Ashley remained unrepentant, always blaming Kay and me. I don't care about being a popular model and owning real estate. They are just a nerd and a fatso getting above their station. It's all their fault, not mine. Continuing to speak this way, Ashley exhausted Tyler's patience. Actually, I didn't upload the photo, but I did talk about the reunion in a recent interview, Kevin said with a mischievous grin. His photographs are especially popular among the wealthy. After the interview about the reunion, Ashley's patrons also drifted away, and she tearfully returned to her parents' home, never having worked before. What she plans to do now is anyone's guess. One can only hope her parents will re-educate her. Well, it's no longer our concern, I said. I guess that's right. Enough about that woman. Tell us more about your wife. Yeah, we really want to hear it. Okay, I will. Kay, my wife, became a bit of a topic when Ashley's social media blew up. She revealed that Ashley was a classmate of mine in high school and also went to the same middle school as Ashley. She hadn't spoken about the bullying she endured, but other classmates revealed it, and she garnered sympathy instead. Now she's even more popular as someone who overcame her past. I'd want to make a movie about Kay, I continued. A friend who is a director mentioned this in a film titled Becoming Claire. The popular model starring Kay herself was shot. The movie was a big hit, making Kay a well-known figure of the time. Meanwhile, my cafe is also doing well. After the movie revealed my existence, fans of Kay would ask, "Are you her husband?" I can't disclose personal information, I reply, though it's an open secret among the fans. Thanks to Kay's singing on social media, not to make a fuss, they warmly watch over us. Of course, there are also loyal fans of my specialty coffee, so I'm having fulfilling days. Welcome back, Kay. I'm home and weary. You did well today. Dinner will be ready soon. Appreciate it. Can't wait to eat. After a long day, Kay stops by the cafe once it's closed. I serve her a nutritious meal I made for her. Your cooking is always so tasty, she comments. It's better than any fancy restaurant. Seeing her happy face as she eats fills me with joy. I may never forget Ashley's actions, but I recognize they brought Kay and I closer together. I'm thankful for that. It seems every experience, both positive and negative, shapes our present. With that in mind, I smiled in response to Kay's cheerful laughter.